love it.
Welcome back to SAP TechEd 2020 on Channel 1, SAP's annual tech conference. I'm Max.
And I'm Menina.
And I'm repeating myself, but I'm super excited once again for a full hour of new content because we have some special guest with us, which is actually not really in the SAP ecosphere. But before we dive into this hour, we do have a lot of stuff in our next 3 hours. I have no idea. It's quite some time. We have the pleasure to be here and to talk to our folks out there. And
that was a very, very short, not spoiler, but very stay excited. It's coming up.
I try to do my best to keep it as exciting as possible. And you know everything what's coming up in the next hour.
I have it on my cards. Of course. So we will hear from very different external voices. So they are very diverse, ranging from projects that they do with certain tools, from that to others like the one that you just teased, Simone Giertz, inspirational persons. And then we'll hear about Industry Cloud. And if you're like, okay, why should I watch this? Industry Cloud, I have no clue. Then it's definitely a reason for you to tune in because we will have an expert joining us live in that session. And then we will have another hour with community members coming up. So another hour full of upskilling with community members that are very pleased to share more insights and experiences for you to upskill. With that, do we want to talk about what's coming up in this hour?
Yeah, before that.
No, you don't?
I do like to talk about that, but before, there's something on my list, because you've talked about Industry Cloud. Jürgen Müller covered a lot yesterday in his keynote about Industry Cloud, and I'm super looking forward. I'm looking forward to everybody of them, but I'm looking forward to interview our guest, Kai Fink, coming on later.
Because we know they're busy, they have a lot of talks coming up, so having them live here in Channel 1 is definitely an opportunity to watch.
And especially because our attendees can fire some questions on them during the strategy talk, and we'll pick some of them. And
how can they do that?
Good point.
Tell us.
Thank you for the bridge. sapteched.com, log in and have a look at your session catalog. Once you open the session, you're able to enter some questions. For our next talk, we will talk about mobile apps with some partners we gonna have with us. We'll take a look how developers have adopted best practices for development with SAP Cloud Platform SDK for iOS, and get some best practices, how to get started, what's in it, not only from a point of view of a developer, but also for an end user. Menina, you're always my candidate for introducing the speakers.
You mean if you don't have it on your list?
That's absolutely right.
Okay, so you just saw it on the screen. So we will have Lisa Brown joining us. She's head of native app experiences at SAP. Then we'll have Stefan Niewöhner, team lead mobile innovation at Class, an agriculture business. Then we'll have Yannick Ehlert, mobile application developer, and Sumant Tunga, manager for mobile developer and IT automation at Weill Cornell Medical College, and all of them sharing about their projects with running on iOS. So with that, we are very excited to look forward to this discussion, and maybe there are some insights for you to learn. So enjoy watching.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Lisa Brown, head of the Native App Experiences team here at SAP. My team builds apps for SAP employees using the SAP Cloud Platform SDK for iOS. Today, you're going to hear from two companies who have adopted the best practices for transforming their business using the iOS SDK. We have a great panel for you, so let's just jump in. First of all, why don't we just take a minute and have you guys introduce yourself, your role, and let us know your favorite app that you are building currently or that you've built so far. Stefan, do you want to kick us off?
All right. First of all, thanks for inviting us to this panel discussion. My name's Stefan Nieböhner. I'm working at Claas for almost 8 years now. Claas is one of the leading manufacturers for agricultural machinery like tractors or combine harvesters. And I'm responsible for the app development team at our company. And we mainly develop native applications for iOS and Android for our internal customers, but also for external customers and farmers. And we made the decision 4 or 5 years ago that all our internal applications have to use SAP mobile platform, nowadays SAP Cloud Platform technology, to connect to our backend systems. And we use the corresponding SDKs for Android and iOS for developing our applications. And my most favorite application at the moment is the one which we are currently developing. It's called Digital Service Manager. This is an application for our service technicians to improve their daily business, provide work orders and service appointments to their iPhones. And we use quite a lot of the iOS capabilities or iOS SDK capabilities like online, offline stores, push notifications, the whole onboarding flow, and SAP UI 5 or Fiori design elements.
Okay, Stefan, so let me continue since we are working at the same company. My name is Yannick Ehlert. I'm a member of the mobile development team at Claas. So I'm a team member of Stefan's team. And well, he already said a lot about our company. My favorite app actually is our My Class application, which is available to all our employees in Germany. It includes many frequently used features like payroll information, time recordings, news about our company, of course, and additional information like the canteen plan. And I just like it a lot because we have it is very successful. I think we currently have around 6,000 users across Germany, and we're working on the 2.0 release right now. So we'll be rolling out the new release also to our employees in France and also in Hungary. So yes, there's a lot of stuff coming up.
Okay, hello everyone. This is Suman Tanga. So I work for Weill Cornell Medical College in New York. So as the name says, it's a college that we do a patient care, and then we have the medical classes that are as part of the course schedule. So I work mainly on so I manage the mobile team and IT automation part of it. And we are actually in process of building the apps. So we have some patient-related apps that are outside for outside patients. But we are right now focusing on the enterprise versions for our employees. So the app, I would say the favorite app will be the one that we are going to release next month. It's mainly focusing for non-exempt employees time card. And we have many other apps in roadmap we have planned to use the native SDKs. So that's our mobile program in a nutshell.
Very cool. All right, so my team has seen building the 30 plus internal apps that we have, that there's many benefits for users and developers for using the SDK. In your experience, what benefits have your development teams and users have seen? Yannick, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, thank you. So I think our employees really like that it just feels native. The app just feels like it fits right onto their phones. And we for our perspective, it's great that we can use all the onboarding and authentication things, but they're just very easy to use. They're also very easy to use for the users, but also what Stefan already said, we like the Fiori components, and they're in line with the human interface guidelines from Apple. So it just doesn't seem like some third-party developer developing a completely different style sheet. It just feels like a native iOS application, and that is one of the most beneficial things we use. Of course, also the authentication and also the features coming up.
Yeah, just to give you just one example of an application we developed, or another example is, as Yannick said, we love to develop native applications, and also our users love those applications. We developed 3 or 4 years ago an application for our forklift drivers in the warehouse. And this application provides all the transport orders about the transport orders which they have to fulfill during the day to their iPhone or iPads, which they attach to the forklifts. And so they directly see what materials they have to bring to a specific workplace, or remove from a workplace and bring them to another workplace, or back to the storage cell. And this application is used frequently every day. And we developed this application for just one location initially, but due to the success, this application is now rolled out in 6 or 7 different locations around the world, and all is based on SAP mobile platform, cloud platform, and the corresponding SDKs.
Okay, so the app that we are going to release in the testing phase, the key benefits, or the benefits from 2 different the use types, right? So one, the actual users, and the other from the administration perspective, the HR and payroll. So the app that we are going to release is going to simplify one at the authentication for users, and also the key thing is it's going to work offline as a native. Then it's going to capture the location. So it's basically having the the native capabilities of the device. So that's one of the key benefit. And then our users are the alpha users are very impressed with the app, and the ease of the look and feel and the use of the app. So that's one of the key benefit, I would say, using these native SDKs, and then so that we can use all the device capabilities to incorporate the different features into the app.
Excellent. So we all know that building apps and making them successful inside our organization is very, very different. So can you give us some best practices in building apps with the SDK and driving adoption?
When we talk about the best practices, there are many areas that we need to look at. So one is from the developer's perspective, and the other is from the user's perspective, the adoption rate, how we can simplify it, what is the best mechanism that we can release or make these apps available for them, and what SDKs provides us. So looking at that perspective, from the end user perspective, it's mainly the onboarding process. So what we are doing is making sure that the app lifecycle is straight and set, and it's always integrated with the CI/CD solution, so that the onboarding process for end users is very much simplified. And then once they start using the app, so the other best practice that we are looking at is for the authentication mechanism. So what is the simplified? So what does it make their life easier? So that's some of the native SDK features that we are using is some of the token capabilities, the handling of the tokens. So that's from the end user perspective. Now when it comes to the developer's perspective of for the app lifecycle, so as it's part of the team development, so again having one common repository and using the SDK features, that way we are simplifying, and we're not adding more complex scenarios here. So we're simplifying the development experience as well as the testing efforts for our test users. So that's the both aspects on the side, and not to forget the design principles. And so that is the another the factor that's for the adoption rate. So if no matter what we develop the screens and then give it to the users, the ultimate thing is they have to use it. So the design principles and design standards are very key in getting the success rate of the adoption. So I think the native SDKs give a lot of flexibility so that we can use all the device features to simplify it. So those are some of the best practices that we use and follow here.
Yeah, thanks. For us, one of the most important aspects is actually to, before we start with the development, we always create mockups. We use Sketch for this process. We created our own design system, and we also integrated some of your Fiori UI elements which you provided online. And yeah, with those mockups, we can focus on the application and the process, and to keep this application as simple as possible and as useful as possible for the end users. And this is actually the first thing we do in cooperation with the final users before we write the first line of code. And a second important aspect is, so in the past, we mainly used the online capabilities of your SDK, but for the last 1.5 years, we use more and more components or features like the offline stores, the push notifications, the logging feature, or the Fiori UI elements. And I think this is also one important aspect. So you already did a good job. And yeah, as a developer, you should just use these features which you provide to us. And this improves, for us at least, the whole development process a lot.
Okay, so Stefan, you already brought a few good points up. One or two things I would like to add is usually our users are not working in IT. So we have to make the whole onboarding process and so on, we have to make it really easy. So when I come back to our employee services application, My Class, for example, we decided to release it on Google Play and Apple App Store because we thought, well, many of our employees, they are not so tech savvy that they know how to download certain profiles or get an enterprise app. And also then we have the problem of releasing updates and so on. So we wanted to stick to the very common established processes that people already know. And also we wanted to make things very easy, like for example, if they forgot their credentials, it's a very easy process, or it's a very streamlined process, which of course happens from time to time, especially if you don't use your company credentials that often, only for example, our employee services application. And I think it is very important to also take a look at what customers want. So we use analytics in our apps, and we analyze those statistics a lot, so that we see which features are used a lot and which features are, well, actually nice to have, but they're not very frequently consumed. So then we know which features to invest time in, just to make our apps even better than they are already.
Very nice. Thank you so much for joining us today and being such great panelists and sharing with us your stories. Please see sap.com/apple for some more details. And for additional sessions that are related to this one, we have a Dev 120 and a PAR 161. And there's also, as I said, additional website information that you can get on the SDK. You can also continue the learning experience with the SAP Learning Hub platform, which provides exactly that: unlimited access to all of your content, always up to date, over 3,000 titles in multiple languages, unlimited access to SAP Learning Rooms, which provide structured and unstructured information, SAP instructor-led social learning, as well as collaboration. So the exclusive right to buy access to SAP Live Systems on demand, like purchasing internet access in your hotel room, and powerful LMS capabilities to run, manage, and measure company-specific enablement programs. So this is all for one in a single 12-month subscription for a fee that is lower than the cost of attending one 3-day classroom course. So please check it out. Thank you so much for attending, and have a great day.
Thank you so much for coming on to SAP TechEd 2020 and telling us about your story with the SAP Cloud Platform. SDK for iOS and in general mobile app development. I think it's quite interesting, not only, as I already said, see how a developer can benefit from that, but also the end users of those benefits from the SAP Cloud Platform SDK for iOS. If you want to know more or want to know how to get started, we do have tutorials in order to help you out. So if you go to developers.sap.com and have a look for iOS, you will definitely get lots of information how to get started. Speaking of how to get started and lots of information, we also have further on more talks in the content tracks about SDK, the SAP Cloud Platform SDK for iOS. Simply go to the session catalog and filter for iOS.
We have, should I maybe read them out, which ones we have? So in case you don't find them, but it's easy to find them. You just need to go to the session catalog or to the content tracks. We have a lecture that's called SAP Cloud Platform SDK for iOS State of the Platform, DV120. So here how it's moving to open source delivery and much more. We also have a 20-minute breakout session, build cross-platform mobile solutions for iOS and Android, that is DEV117, using the mobile development kit from SAP. So I think they can definitely upskill you further in that direction if you're interested in building more projects with iOS.
Ah, that's a brilliant bridge for what I wanted to ask you.
What bridge?
Building projects. We will have next with us Simone Giertz. And you had the honor to interview Simone. Do you want to give us a personal insight how she is before we dive into the interview, or is that a little bit too much spoiler already?
Not sure. Yeah, I don't know if we should spoil her. Definitely can provide more insights here. I mean, about her. I mean, we know she has more than 2.3 million YouTube followers, so I would say quite influential and inspiring for many people. She's building very interesting products, so maybe not the ones that you're used to, but maybe you saw them in the teaser already. She is called the Queen of Shitty Robots by her fans, and maybe that gives you more idea of what she's really doing, but some might think they're shitty and some might think they're really cool, and I mean, who would make this? You can see it in the teaser. We can definitely have a look at that and see some parts of it without spoiling too much, but some of the highlights here. She is a real maker and inventor. I mean, thinking about that, those ideas come just out of her head and she implements them right away. She builds them. Who does this? I mean, we know Craig Schmeichel, our co-host and colleague here on stage at Channel 1. He is a maker as well.
Not as crazy as her, to
Not as crazy as her, that's true. He's a ring maker, and she's, you can see some of the products here. It's very different and diverse, but useful and...
I have to admit, I have thought about those things. I mean, she has brilliant ideas, but somehow, in a way, fails realizing the projects to a final end. And I've thought about, is there a way for me to do the same thing with coding? So, I mean, I have quite good ideas. Let's take it that way. They are okay.
You mean do shitty coding? Or
yes. And how can I make the best out of it? Filming myself once coding, but I think it's not as interesting as with Simone.
Come on, I'm sure you had such
it's
moments.
Not as exciting. I mean,
no,
coding
of course
is
it's
exciting,
not the same,
but physical robots doing those funny things. She has a great team behind also, but Simone is absolutely inspiring.
Yeah, to her background, so she comes from Sweden and currently lives in San Francisco. She has a lab there where she really has all her stuff that she needs to get started with building stuff. And yeah, I would say it's a job or passion that makes her very, very individual and special.
Speaking of lab, I think we will see Simone interviewed by you in her lab. Is that right? Was that the lab?
True. She's sitting in her lab. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure if she was doing something like working on a project or anything before or after that, but I mean, knowing that someone who's maybe getting her idea out of nothing would definitely jump into the lab and do it out of her hands. And just right now, it's great to have her, of course, and spare some time by her to give us some insights of how she thinks, how she builds, and all that.
All right, so it's time to have a look at the video with Simone Giertz and my phenomenal co-host Minina interviewing her.
Thanks, Simone, for being here with us and spending some time not inventing, but actually providing some insights about yourself and your passion. My first question would be actually around how you got started building robots. I mean, you're called by your fans as the queen of shitty robots, and it's amazing to see your videos where sometimes you're struggling in a fun way. It's very entertaining, but yeah, it's interesting to hear from you. How did you get started? What made you start building robots?
So I always liked building things, especially when I was a kid. I would always like make little wood sculptures and stuff like that, but then I kind of fell out of it, and I never really thought of myself as somebody who would be interested in engineering and electronics and programming, because I don't know, I was just like, no, that's not for me. But then I started getting introduced to programming, and I had this idea that I wanted to build an interactive website where you could go on the website and use it to control motors. I mean, like a very basic, this was in 2014, so like a very basic like Internet of Things website. And I got an Arduino kit, which is this like little microcontroller kit. And I remember the first time I managed to program it to just blink an LED, and it was like love at first blink. I was like, oh, this is so cool. This is magic. I'm a wizard. I can do anything.
Wow, that's cool. It's nice to hear. I mean, the first time when you started studying, I think you were studying in engineering physics, and but where did you say, okay, I wanna actually really follow my passion here and stop doing this, but really go into my passion?
So it's a weird string of events, but I can walk you through the timeline if you want to, because I started studying physics, and I didn't enjoy it that much. Like, I love math, I really love math, but I don't love math 10 hours a day, and I felt like it was really stimulating some parts of my brain, but I felt like some other parts of my brain were kind of like dwindling. So it just wasn't for me. So I dropped out after a year, and I got a job as an editor for Sweden's official website. And then I did that for a year. I only did everything for a year because it was like I was just trying out a bunch of different jobs and different programs in school. But then I started studying at an advertising school, and that's where I got introduced to programming and kind of like the more fun part of programming. So it wasn't that I was like, I'm going to drop out of college to do this. But I really liked building things with hardware, and I built this. Like, my first bigger hardware project was I did an iPhone case with retractable guitar strings. So I remember like sitting with my phone, and I had like the charger cord plugged in, and I was just like strumming on the cord as if it was a guitar. And I remember looking down being like, oh wow, this might be something. So my friend Jonathan and I, we did an iPhone case. So you could like pull out the guitar strings from the bottom, you could pluck them to your belt. They had like a little carabiner at the end. And then I programmed an iOS app so you could hold the cord on the screen, and then you could play the guitar strings as if they were normal guitar strings. And I just loved it. And I was like, okay, should I go back to school to study engineering? Should I study electronics? But then I realized, oh, maybe I could get a job and get paid to learn about it instead. And I got really lucky because I got an internship position / a job at a company called Punch Through Design in San Francisco. And my job was like a maker in residence. So all I did was like build fun projects with their product and write tutorials and like work with their community and stuff like that. And that was like the best school to learn about hardware and about building things. And then on the side, I started making even weirder projects. And that's when I built the toothbrush helmet, which was my first project to go viral. And yeah, I just happened from there.
And where do you get your ideas from? Just from like, just walking around and then bing, there's your idea? Or do you have a brainstorming tool or something where you sit down and you say, okay, I need to find now the next project going forward?
No, it's usually, I feel like I very rarely come up with good things when I'm like, I'm gonna sit down and think. Usually I just have to get bored enough and then I come up with ideas just naturally. And if I have a hard time coming up with ideas, usually it means that I'm overworked and I haven't like had enough time to just sit and be bored, because then immediately I'm trying to find ways to entertain myself, and usually that's building things.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, one of your inventions is that music instrument out of tooth. How is it called? Out of teeth.
Out of teeth?
Yeah.
It's right behind here, yeah. I love it.
I'm imagining how you then sometimes sit there and feel like, okay, I need to play a song, you know, on that tooth instrument. But when you start building your ideas to really become something that you can touch and you can feel, I know sometimes it's probably struggling, and there are some projects like the scissor lamp that you did on, where it looked very difficult to really cut out the scissors. For the audience, I think it could be really interesting to now hear from you when there have been times where you failed or where you feel like, it's too exhausting, I want to stop, and how do you keep on going?
So it can be hard to like keep your motivation throughout a build, especially the ones that take longer. Like, I mean, around my house, I have so many like half-finished house projects. But the good thing, like one of the both upsides and downsides of like building things as a job, and I mean my job is that I make things and I make YouTube videos about it, is like the YouTube video schedule kind of forces me to push through like my own unmotivation. Like if I ever have a low point in a project, then I'm like, I just have to get past it. But I think but mostly it's just like, for me, I'm able to build things that I genuinely want to build. Like I'm really trying to set as few restrictions on myself as possible, and I feel like I am having a lot of like natural motivation to make these things happen. But it's something that I've been thinking a lot about, because like in school we're really taught how to use duty as a fuel. Like you're taught to be very ambitious and like how to keep yourself sitting down and doing these hard things. And we're never really taught of like how to keep motivation or enthusiasm as our fuel. Like, how do you stay enthusiastic? How do you make sure to create a setting where you're actually really pumped about what you're doing? And in some way it's harder, because like you need to feel good to like be enthusiastic. For me, I need to sleep enough. I need to take enough time off. I need to make sure that I'm like genuinely, that I'm not lying to myself about what I'm interested in. And that was the thing, because I used to only build shitty robots, and then I was like, I just noticed that I wasn't very enthusiastic about it anymore. And then just like facing that and being like, okay, maybe I should build some other stuff for a while. Maybe I should allow myself to make furniture, even though for me, that's like not what the people who maybe watch my YouTube videos are there for, or it's not what they came there for from the start. So I think just really being gentle with yourself and making sure that you retain your enthusiasm as main motivation.
That's a great advice. Being reflective also on your feelings towards projects that you have. Speaking of feelings, have you had a feeling of failure? I mean, really, where you said, okay, not because you're not less enthusiastic about a project or an invention that you were working on, but where you said, I'm failing now and it's hard. How did you stand up, and how did you get over it?
I think I mean, doing this as a job or like making videos about building has in some ways shifted how I see failure, because things that go wrong often become the main part of the video. Like that's the story. So in some way, like things going wrong, as annoying as it can be in the moment, I know that like, oh, that's where the video is going to be at. So for me, failure has more been like, if I'm not proud of the project, like putting out a video and feeling like, no, I didn't like love this video. I didn't feel it doesn't happen very or that often, but sometimes I'm like, I don't know if I think this is actually worth watching, because I'm like, I only want to put up videos that I myself want to watch. And sometimes it's like, I don't know if I would want to watch this. So that feels more like a failure than like something going wrong in a build. Yeah.
So obviously all your videos are successful inventions that you made. Which of those would you say is your baby, like where you're super proud of?
I mean, Truckla is, yeah, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to top that. So I converted, my team and I converted a Tesla Model 3 into a pickup truck. And that was like definitely the biggest project that we've ever undertook. And the most complex one, the most complex video that I've ever worked on. And yeah, she's my baby. I love her so much.
Nice, thank you. Super great to hear all those insights and very valuable advice that you shared with the SAP TechEd audience. Maybe to wrap it up and to look at it from the technical audience perspective that we have here, so broad, working on different projects from different levels as developers, architects, and so on. Is there an advice that you would give them in particular in regards to finding ideas and working on them?
I think usually we burden ourselves too much with having a point. Like especially I feel in the engineering community to some extent, it's like, why are you spending time on this? What's the point? Are you going to turn it into a product? Is it like, what's the value of it? And I really think that if you're interested in something, then there's a chance that other people are interested in it too. And there's value in that. And also like, whenever somebody's like, I still get a lot of questions of like, oh, why are you spending time making that? And I'm like, what's your screen time on your phone? And we spend so much time scrolling on our phones. And I think creating things is always more important than scrolling. So like you can spend time making whatever you want. It doesn't have to have a point. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be funny. It doesn't have to be anything, but it's still gonna create more value than scrolling on Twitter. If not, at me, complain and be like, Simone, I want my time back. I spent time building this thing and I hate it. And I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. My bad.
Thank you, Simone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a fun event, everyone.
Thank you so much, Simone. It's been a pleasure to have you on SAP TechEd 2020 for telling us in the SAP ecosphere how to get inspired and how to do things which might not look at the first sight beneficial for your everyday life. Menina, as you've been interviewing Simone, do you want to give us once again a personal perspective?
Yes, I can. I think we just saw her in the video, and what what I saw was definitely the spark in her eyes, how passionate she is about the products or the products that she builds. She's very down to earth. I mean, very natural, authentic. And you see that even if she fails or even doesn't get along with the project that she's on right now, it's fun watching her. I think I enjoyed it. It's not only enjoying the ideas that she has, it's, I mean, really crazy. There's one where she even has a selfie box for a dog, so that's also quite cool.
Certain point in time, she'll definitely think about, should I really continue? And I think she has already talked about how to keep going with the stuff you love to do.
Yep.
And I think with that, we want to once again give you some insights of what's in it in the partner community tag. And
such a good bridge.
it is?
Yeah.
I'm always trying to get the best bridge of it.
Here's what's next. What is it?
Well, partner community tracks.
Yeah.
We had already mobile development, right? And we had lots of partners already in other sessions where we had, for example, let me think about that. There's so much. But we will show you afterwards how to find out where to get more information about the partner community track. And we will have a look at the platform, how to get to the sessions you're actually hopefully interested in. With that, we will have a look into the teaser.
The pace of technology innovation has never been faster before. Partner innovations have been increasingly important to SAP's customers. In fact, we are going to triple the number of high-value partner innovations we're going to bring to our customers by 2023. Hello, my name is Jagdish Sahasrabudhe, and I'm the Chief Technology Officer at SAP's Global Partner Organization. I welcome you all to the Partner Community track at SAP TechEd. Our track covers a diverse range of topics to help partners successfully deliver the innovations our customers need. If you're an existing partner or interested in joining SAP's ecosystem, if you're integrating, building, or embedding SAP technology in your solutions, we have the information you need. We'll show you how to use SAP's business technology platform to further your innovation in the market. Join me, SAP experts, and the SAP community online at SAP TechEd.
All right, so we just saw a partner community content track here at SAP TechEd online. And what we just saw is that we have the entire SAP ecosystem and partners that adapt technology by SAP to deliver innovations and build, transform customer, I'm still in the building, transform customer businesses across industries. And yeah, for that one, we have a lot of sessions in the partner community content track. And I think it makes sense to give you an idea on how to find them if you don't know how to. And which is why we'll have a short demo provided to you by Max.
In case you're running out of ideas how to get that, and I can't remember then, I have to admit, that's why I'm relying on the platform. And we will just have a look. As my favorite URL these days is sapteched.com. And make sure you're logged in. Otherwise, you might not be able to access the session catalog. There's different ways how to get to your sessions. And I know probably if you just tuned in, you might be a little overwhelmed how much stuff we have. If you've or are an experienced SAP Techeder, I'm not sure if there's a notion as SAP Techeder, whatever, we will have a look at how to get there.
Are you logged in at the moment?
I am.
Yeah, but I think the session catalog can be accessed
that doesn't
if you're
matter.
not logged in, but you can add it to your schedule.
Ah, right. doesn't matter, register for that. Don't miss out the possibility to access the replays, access some other stuff I'll show in a second. So what we just had is, and I was running out of the partner community sessions, to be honest, we have the possibility to either access it via the track overview. For example, the partner community. Also, what I've just seen, and I wanted to mention is, make sure you watch out which different session types we have. Once you go to the partner community, you will see the teaser we just saw in between. And if you click on See Sessions, you'll get the overview of sessions we have for you in terms of partner topics.
How many sessions do we have?
We have 18 sessions.
Oh.
And what I actually wanted to mention is we had also the iOS development, right?
Yeah, true. We weren't able to show that before, so if we have that.
Yes. So if we have a look for iOS, for example, I can directly, no matter in which track, access the iOS sessions. And what I found really cool is, once we have a look at one of the sessions by Jitendra, one of my favorite colleagues. I only have favorite colleagues, to be honest. No, he's one of absolute role models and super active when it comes to mobile development. If you click on a session, and I think that's pretty cool, is A, you're able to watch the videos whenever you want. Also after tag it. Plus, you're able to download the according or corresponding PDFs and slides of the actual sessions.
And after TechEd, there's also a good opportunity for everyone to explore the SAP Learning Hub, for example. So we have an entire event edition for the SAP Learning Hub with very related topics to the content tracks or sessions that you've seen at SAP TechEd. Do you want to show that as well?
Absolutely. That's why the tab is called Explore. We do have for you, we have a special Learning Hub edition, which is called the Learning Hub Event Edition, with two main benefits. A, you'll get access to a Learning Hub, as the name already says, plus
free access as SAP TechEd attendee.
For sure. Sorry to miss out on that. Plus, if you want to get certified, you will get a special discount on that. And I can only recommend doing the stuff in the Learning Hub. It's a guided learning journey on the content tracks we have during SAP TechEd. And one ongoing guest in our SAP TechEd show is the SAP community. Right?
Because everyone's part of the SAP community.
And I love how the SAP community makes me, at least, feel comfortable during this channel one while we are kind of virtual and kind of disconnected. But it's a really, really hard time for me to catch some sleep because I always wanted to check the community, what they are tweeting, what they are posting on social media. And it keeps me just so excited. Also, not only about the positive stuff, but also about the negative stuff we can improve. And
probably also to what we just seen in the past couple of minutes, hours. It feels like hours already. So maybe just a short wrap up. So we had several external voices, starting with success with iOS, with some developers that showed about their projects. Then we also heard from Simone Giertz. Simone, very different from what you usually build, but a best practice example for out-of-the-box thinking. And TechEd is also super diverse for upskilling in many ways. So that's a topic that will come up. And therefore, since you were showing the SAP community...
what do you want me to show?
Well, I just want to say that, I mean, we do have all the topics, people that you just saw in Channel 1, in community.sap.com. So they are providing answers, they are writing blog posts, and so that's just what I wanted to raise at this point.
Don't miss to follow us.
No.
Because you've been mentioning Crack before, as he's also kind of like a maker. I know that folks in the community are sharing stuff on the SAP community, right? And
nice bridge. I'm counting.
I'm giving my best to build bridges here.
I need a...
We do have a makers thread on the SAP community, and before we bring on a special guest, we do have a coffee corner discussion section as part of the SAP community. And As you can see, Jelena, for example, is already talking about SAP TechEd and the water cooler discussion.
And DJ about the unofficial TechEd fun run.
That would be a brilliant
But
bridge.
I'm not going to spoil that at the moment.
If you have a look for Maker, there's lots of folks in the SAP community talking about what they have built, for example.
Correct. We have so many ideas and passions and hobbies out there, so definitely recommend having a look at that. But we want to now invite a colleague of us, which is Svea Becker, that is giving us details about social media to give us some external voices about SAP TechEd. Svea, welcome
Hi, Svea.
in
Good
the
to see you.
Developer Lab.
Thank you. Good to see you too.
Samewise.
I'm super excited, to be honest.
Yeah.
I've seen you've been running during TechEd on the TechEd Fun Run and Walk. I have to admit, once again, I only have to admit a couple of things these days. When have you been running the last time?
I don't know which day we have today, but I was running twice. Some of the last days. I can't remember. Yeah, it's so when
Definitely
you're
more
here
than me.
the whole week with the rehearsals and so on, you really mix it up. So
And
Yeah.
I'm quite excited what you have for us in a sense of social media tweets, right?
yes, we are talking about social media now, and really happy to be here. And thanks again for having me. So there is a lot of going on in social media. It's just crazy. It's really hard to follow everything, but of course we want to check with from different channels with our tweets here. You see already my nice Twitter wall. So when you want to contribute, we are on Twitter, we are on LinkedIn, we are on Facebook, and even on YouTube. You can see some of our stuff going on. So thanks so much for everyone who contributed so far. It's really, really great to see where are you joining us from. And yeah, I mean, of course, there were a lot of posts about the second keynote from Jürgen. There were still a lot of posts about dogs and cats, and also the conversation is going on about our little studio cat here, right? So if you have recognized her, she was also, or he, I think it's a he was also part of the keynote. So there's a little conversation going on about that. And I also want to mention the mural sessions. There are a lot of tweets from SAP Labs India and in the developer lab. So below this beautiful Twitter social media wall, there are also some of the captures from this mural artist. And I mean, we have talked about this already, also the fun run Max just mentioned. There's a lot of going on, and we have touched on those already. Also, people are talking about they are joining from home, of course. So Tim said he is at home, and also Mark Finnen is at home. And let me highlight that post. So let's have a look into our wall here. And let me highlight the post from Mark. He has put out his vintage SAP Mentors shirt. And it's really great to see him because he is one of the person who are with the SAP community since the beginning. He was really big part in organizing SAP Inside Tracks and SAP Stammtische. So he's a really well-known member of the community. And it's great that you are here with us, Mark, and also sharing where you are joining us from in your vintage SAP Mentors shirt. It's really great to see that. Another one I want to highlight is the post from Gregor Wolf. So it's not so good to see here, but it's about open source. It's from the Devtoberfest finals. But I want to mention the cup he's showing. It's actually a coffee corner cup. And those are some of the swags we are offering in our SAP Community Fan Shop. And maybe you have seen my little pin here. I have had it already in my first sessions. So this is our SAP Community pin. And those, as well as some coffee cups, are accessible in our SAP merchandise shop. And it's really easy to access it. It's sapmerchandise.com. And when you are logged in, you can hover over co-branding, and then you see all our nice items. So, for example, the pin I mentioned, we have also pens, we have hoodies, we have shirts, we have coffee cups, and there are also some new items coming up very, very soon. I expect them end of the week or maybe earliest next week. So really nice things for you to show that you are an SAP community fan. Yeah, so you see there's really a lot of going on in our beautiful Twitter wall here, social media wall. And I want to mention one more highlight. Thomas Fiedler likes the expression from one of the sessions. I think it was Craig mentioned that. Hashtag SAP Tagged is an early Xmas present. So it's Christmas coming soon. And I love that tweet because I think it's really, really a nice present for every one of us all around the world. We are going globally, so we are all connected all together. And I'm really happy to be part of it here in Frankfurt in the live studio, and I love this like a Christmas present, and I would like to bring this to Menina and Max. And what do you think about that one? So it felt like Christmas is coming soon, right?
Totally.
We have some premature presents here.
Do we have, by the way, some presents already in here?
Here.
What I'd like to see is for your social media wall, do we have a name for the cat already?
Yeah, I think it's our cat, you mean, our studio cat. Isn't this Casimir? So that came into my mind. I don't know, some of the production team, I think, named it Casimir. So I said first she, and then I remember, no, I think it's Casimir. But you have to check with Craig. I think he's really, really keen on
Or
that.
our community.
Yeah, our community.
I wonder how many of our community members out there posting in social media have their own Casimir. Tech cat.
Yeah, not only cats, also dogs, and wow, there is a lot of going on there.
Thank you so much.
Pet shop, little pet shop. Thank
Thanks,
you
Svea.
too. Thank you too.
And I'd like to do some things if you've just tuned in and are a SAP Tagged newbie already. We have some Easter eggs in the videos, not only the videos, for example, our teaser for Channel 1.
Casimir's one, no?
Casimir is one of the Easter eggs, probably champion, something on the desk. And I'm most excited about some code hidden in the content teaser for the teaser for Channel 1.
You definitely have to tell me more about it because I'm super blind when it comes to Easter eggs. Like, you keep telling me here and there and the cat. And I'm like, what? What is it?
There's lots of Easter eggs. And
I'm blind.
I'd like the community to tell us if they have discovered some. Also, in the developer keynote, I haven't seen any yet, but there's lots of Easter eggs.
Need to
apparently.
check that out again.
Because we had Svea on just a couple of seconds ago, and Svea is, whenever I talk about Svea, I have to think of mindfulness sessions, and I think you have some of the information about the mindfulness sessions on your list, right? Because you have everything on your list.
Okay, let me check on my list. Okay, yeah, mindfulness sessions. Svea was writing a blog post, so she's quite active as well, writing in the community, and she announced the different virtual mindfulness sessions that we have and had during the SAP Tagged experience, the last couple of hours and coming up hours. What else? Svea is super active running, and Max, I would like to know, how often did you run?
During Tagged, to be honest, just once before Channel 1 kicked off, to be honest. But I tweeted it under the hashtag.
Which one? You?
It's the most complicated one, to be honest.
You?
UTFRW.
Correct.
Tagged, fun, run, and walk. And probably I'll take a run or a walk after our shift here.
Yeah, me too.
And before we go over or end up the hour, a favorite session you had?
My favorite session?
Yes.
My favorite session. Oh God, it's so hard to choose from.
If I should give you a tip, it's a developer keynote.
Can I think about it? Let's think about it and maybe lead to.
Yeah?
Just end.
With that, let's wrap up the hour and we will see you in a bit. Thanks for watching.